Hey, welcome. I'm Brett Bucher. Welcome to my YouTube. This is my first time streaming. I'm talking about problems that we have in America. It's really big time problems. It's existed for decades inside our media, inside our local newspapers, inside our local news. I live in outside of the Portland. I live in the Portland metro area, so I watch news like KATU. And as an example, they have about a 7 8 minute time frame where they talk about national news, and this is what this discussion is going to be. We're going to talk about national news, how it affects you if you're sitting there and you're watching news programs like ABC News, NBC, CBS, MSNBC. You can see Fox News, all of them. And what they do is it's called sock pucket media. They totally lie to you. It's deception. It's for ratings. Why would they? Why would they do? Well, they do this. The reason why they do this is because they make money. Okay, yeah, they make money, and you know, I can show you the way. I can show you why Donald Trump calls it fake news. It's very realistic. It's very true. All of the media is controlled by General Electric, News Corp, Disney, Disneyland, Viacom, Time Warner, CBS. They control the news. It's all right here. I've got it right in front of me. I don't need somebody to argue to me that I don't know what I'm talking about, because I know what I'm talking about. I've studied this for a very long time, and these corporations have merged together, and they come up with what they do is they come up with a story, and they meet, and what they do is they basically come up with fake news, and it's a real problem. So, there's a couple things I just randomly off the top of my head that I want to talk to you about. Is that there's so much fake news in America that people are very what would be a good word? They're disenfranchised. They're clueless, and then they're focused on television. They're focused on comedy. They're focused on lots of things that they see on the TV screen. I've always told people that the TV is absolutely a weapon. You need to be careful about how you're indoctrinated, because that's what they're doing. They're indoctrinating you. Since Sunday at 10:05 p.m., the reported shots were fired off in Las Vegas. Well, here's the deal with Las Vegas, is that there's so much information that pours in, because anybody can pick up their phone. This is my tablet, whatever the case may be. You can hit record, and you can start recording things, or you were already previously recording things at the concert. And this is the problem that exists in the media, is that people jump to conclusions, and they want answers, and they want answers, and they want them now, because we live in this viral, fast-paced internet type of environment, where we used to rely on the fake news. Because remember, like Brian Williams from NBC was shot down in a helicopter with an RPG. So he's the master of fake news. And remember Hillary Clinton dodging sniper fire in Bosnia? Total fake, total lies. So we have to digest reality. We have to come up with what makes sense. and not to dejerkinate. I can't say the word now. News because I'm a little bit nervous. I get kind of fidgety. Drinking coffee. So in Las Vegas, we're possibly never going to know the real truth to the shooting. There's a lot going on there. There's a lot of different angles. I've been right there. It's a very large piece of real estate. So in the way the building is shaped, but I listened to a very important video that was a cab driver parked out there, and she turned on her phone, and you can hear that, you can see that there is a distance. There is two shooters. There is two shooters, okay? And so how the news in America reports is they're not going to get into this because they're not going to let you know that this person that is shooting that all those guns off and all that stuff off is possibly a leftist. This is possibly somebody that is possibly set up. This could be a deep state type of organization inside our government to try to take your guns away, because they want to take your guns away. The reason why they want to take your guns away is because in the event, if there is a civil war, you're not going to have any firepower, because they do want to take this country down. Trust me, the people that control our military, Congress, they're very powerful people. They're elitists, they're globalists, whatever you want to come up with. I've known about this since probably I was about 10 years old. I mean, it's very obvious to see that when a president is elected, you can see that the control of power with what they want to do changes. And I've witnessed this many years. And I'm talking, okay, Clinton, Bill Clinton, of all people. Sure, I used to be a Democrat. I used to like Bill Clinton until I started to see how all the problems that existed with Oklahoma City when the FBI building came down, there was some fraud there. I'm not going to discuss it. There was big time fraud that goes back to when he was governor. Okay, so I'm going to take a time out there, and then I'm going to jump into 9/11. 9/11, of course, is a complete lie. Here we go. I was indoctrinated, brainwashed by the fake news media when George Bush Jr. went in and attacked Afghanistan. Okay, totally attacked Afghanistan. In order to do military operations like that, it's totally crafted. It takes a lot of effort and a lot of planning to just orchestrate something like that. So George Bush Jr., however you want to look at it, he didn't have anything to do with it. But I'm not saying he's not guilty for it. And then we can get into Barack Obama, okay? All the lies with Barack Obama. You know, Libya. It actually started on Twitter in Egypt. They overthrew Egypt, and they put in the Muslim Brotherhood people inside that government. And then we can get into Libya. If you don't know about Libya, I mean, Libya, Omar Gaddafi, sure, he wasn't the most friendliest person. He was a little bit different, but he was intelligent. It was a very good country with when you look at how all the religions got along. Everybody was happy, but he was the head of the African Union. He wanted to take Africa off the US dollar, and he had 142 tons of gold. And the France went in there because it was a threat to France. It was a threat to people. And Hillary Rodham Clinton went in there and they bombed them. They stole all their weapons. It dispersed in the Middle East all these weapons. They actually murdered Gaddafi, which is under international war crimes created after World War II, which is considered a war crime. And she said it. We came, we saw, he died on ABC News. Then we can get into Syria. Okay, we can get into Syria. We understand Syria. It's very obvious that there was false flags, just like we have Las Vegas. That's a false flag. I bet you that guy that possibly, who knows, we'll never know. We'll never know the story. It's a false flag. In Syria, there was massive false flags, and I can remember Obama saying, no boots on the ground, but we're just going to bomb them. Well, if you go back to Obama in 2008 when he was running for office, he was anti-war, anti-this, anti-that, but he didn't follow up with any. He absolutely didn't commit to anything that he wanted to do. And there was many things that I approved of. I really liked, like shutting down Guantanamo Bay. Okay, that's fine. I get it. Stopping wars, getting our troops home. I'm all for it. He didn't do any of that. He carried out the total policy, wherever the policy comes from, just like George Bush Jr., just like Bill Clinton. If you want to get into it, I can get into it all day long. And so basically what happens is after so Syria never died, never ended. They did not overthrow Assad. That's what the goal was. That's what the agenda is. That's what they want to do. And the next thing they wanted to do is they wanted to take out Russia. This is very true. I've got some sources. I'm smart, and I don't sit and watch mainstream media. We can look at Ukraine, Maidan, 2014, after the Olympics in Sochi. This civil war broke out in Ukraine, and the president of Ukraine escaped as they created this war with gunshots going off. Boom, 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 in a protest, and they were clashing like this, clashing. And who's clashing is the police and the Ukrainians that wanted to join the EU. This is a total setup, and we've got guns going off. Boom, 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 boom. And this is what started the whole entire war. And what people don't understand is that the fake news told you that Russia invaded Ukraine. Absolutely false. NBC, all of them. And this is how I got into it. This is what I really want to share to you. This is how I'm concerned about America, because we're heading down the same path, the same effort. And it's even worse in America in terms of a pretense of how it started. So in Ukraine, they blamed Russia. They said, oh, Vladimir Putin, yeah, like some people like Mark Levin, he can't even pronounce his name, but his name is Vladimir Putin. But anyways, Vladimir Putin did not invade Ukraine. In fact, what Americans don't understand is that there's a city called Crimea, and that's been Russia's base since like the beginning of time. Russia did not invade Ukraine. That's their Navy base. That's their Black Sea Navy base. That's not only their Black Sea Navy base. That is a huge area in that part of the world where they ship in large amounts of supplies and goods, just like anything else, into their country. Food, supplies, you name it, whatever. It comes through the the port city of Crimea and those areas. So what they were, what the U.S. was trying to, actually the globalists, what they were trying to do is they were trying to create a war in Ukraine, which they did, but they were trying to stop trade into Russia, in Ukraine. That's what they were trying to do. And it didn't work. Because Vladimir Putin said it's not going to happen, and he gave a 24-hour notice because he had a treaty. That's what I'm getting at in Crimea. The guy's a mastermind. Gave a 24-hour notice, and nobody invaded Ukraine. Those are Ukrainians that many of them, a large percentage of them, are Russians, because Ukraine used to be the Soviet Union, and CNN and Fox News and all these fake news sites paid by Big Brother federal government because they want to have this war, because they don't got anything else to do but create war because they want to borrow off the Federal Reserve. But it didn't work. It didn't work. We didn't go to war in Ukraine. There was no Russian troops. There was no Russian troops in Ukraine. You know why? Because they were already in Crimea. They had a treaty. They had 25,000 troops. That's the Black Sea Navy fleet. But you Americans are so indoctrinated. And I probably lost about 30 friends in 2014, 2015. Because I talked about this, because I consider myself to be somewhat educated with this, but what I want to get at, and let's get off of this. First of all, we're going to end this discussion, but you're not going to see any more. You're not going to see any more propaganda about Vladimir Putin. You've noticed that the propaganda has gone away. You know, you remember the plane that was shot down, 2014. That's all CIA. That's all deep state. That's all a lie, trying to create this war. The Netherlands, they'll never will release the evidence because they're going to hide it. Of course they're going to hide it, because Russia didn't shoot it down. It's the people inside Ukraine that shot it down. It's the people that are against they're against joining the EU, which is fascinating to learn. As we moved into 2016, as Donald Trump was running for office, you can see that the UK left the EU. They're sick and tired of it. Nigel Farage was the facilitator of that. I mean, it's so amazing. And then Donald Trump gets elected, and all these people inside our government, inside the Pentagon, inside the Department of Defense, they're freaking out. They're totally freaking out at this point. It's very true. Donald Trump is elected, becomes president. Now what they're trying to do is they're trying to destroy America. They've created these groups, Antifa, Black Lives Matter, and it's all funded by, I'm not going to name them, but it's political parties that want to destroy this country. And now you got this bum, 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 and snap, 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 snap. And there's more than one shooter. They're trying to destroy this country. And the only way they're ever going to be able to destroy America, because America, if I remind you, is the most powerful country in the United States. We have been at wars for decades. Okay, you got patriots deep inside the Pentagon. You got patriots deep inside the Department of Defense. You got patriots in our Army. You got veterans, and you got patriots in our Marines. You got retired veterans. You got veterans that have fought in wars, and this is not gonna happen. And you little Antifa, you little Black Lives Matter people, they're basically all white. They're all these indoctrinated people that are in college. They're not working. They're not supporting their community. They're not doing what patriots in America love to do, which is help one another. What they're doing is they're creating anarchy. Okay? Many of them are paid by powerful people to go out on the streets to destroy this country. I'm shutting it down right here. I'm just trying to stress to you that there's no country in the world that has ever had freedom. Okay? My grandfather was a World War II fighter pilot. He went through the Great Depression. He had to raise his brothers and sisters. That's why he joined the army. He was in the army in a period of time when there was very few amounts of an army. Actually, America was really a distressed country. Really was. And what happened was is we eventually got into World War II. My grandfather fought. He was a fighter pilot. And eventually what happens is the Air Force is created, and by 1949, 1950, I have his stuff right over here in the box. Actually, if you want, I'll just run over and get it. Do I have it right there? I can show you, because I know people thinking we want to have it factually true. Do I see it there? But anyways, yeah, I do. If you want it, just put it in the remarks. But by 1949 era, the United States was headed into Korea. They had created the Air Force prior to that, and my grandfather was a dedicated Army person, so he stayed in the Army. I have a very large chest. It's a huge chest, and I've got all the letters when my grandfather served in the Korean War as a master sergeant in the Army. I mean, I've got some really good history. I'm going to create a blog, but we're going to shut it down here. But I want to stress to people is that I want you guys, if you're watching this, to please get involved. I don't care what your political view is. Okay, if you're Democrat, Republican, I'm not a Republican. I said screw the Republicans. I'm not a Democrat. I was a Democrat because I was indoctrinated through school. Okay? But one of the things I want to stress to you is that we don't want to live in an oppressed society. We want to have a democratic society. We want to have our voice to be spoken. Save America. Don't give up. Vote. And that's what happened to Donald Trump. That's why he won. Because he really won because he woke America up. We don't want to go to war. Hillary Clinton, I mean, she just said we're going to war with Iran, Russia. I mean, we're sick and tired of wars. I am sick and tired of it. My mom and dad, sick and tired of it. And they're on the opposite sides of the spectrum. We are sick and tired of it. We need to save Americans. We need to save our roads. We need to save our infrastructure. We need to protect our borders. We need to protect this country because we've been destroying countries like in the Middle East and Kosovo and Serbia. I mean, it's disgusting. Pissed off. Be America. Don't give up.